Do you ever just look at the world and think, what the fuck is going on? Truly, honestly, what the absolute fuck?
It's all too much. I think you said enough. It stinks hypocrisy to me.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Hope you're all alright. This is Living in a Ditch. Right then, this is a difficult one because we're going to talk about what went off in Israel on the 7th of October 2023. I think it's been, the world's reaction to it has been appalling. This is multifaceted, you see. The actual thing that happened there, okay, the Hamas attacks and the footage we've seen and what we know to be true is absolutely abhorrent. It's evil and it's nothing less than I expected from someone like Hamas and all the other Islamic nutters, okay, Hezbollah and all this nonsense. And this is how this started, but I'm not going to profess to know much about the history of that region of the world. I'm not, certainly no expert in it. I'm just a bloke sitting here giving my opinion on the aftermath of what's gone on, and something that we've been warned about from certain people for years. And it's truly shocking, in my opinion. Now, of course, as I've just said, the attacks themselves are abhorrent. But seeing these protests on the street of London, and in fact, let's go back a bit. Actually, on the 7th of October, I think maybe the 8th, what we actually saw was in Berlin, of all places, were people chanting on the street, singing "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free," and basically celebrating the persecution of Jews. That's what this is all about. This is where the faceted bit comes, and it's something that's been the undercurrent to all this for years, and I that's my belief. Okay, this is my opinion. In Germany, Berlin, kill the Jews. We've not been here before. Now, of course, that's been echoed in quite a lot of places around the world. And, of course, the useful idiots have jumped on the bandwagon. And you know who I'm on about now. We're talking about the marches in London. The useful fucking idiots are the lefties, basically. I'm not going to plaster that word, you know, all lefties are like this, but it is the usual lot, isn't it? They couldn't even point out Gaza or the West Bank on a map if you put it in front of them. They had no idea. You have gays for Palestine and queers for Palestine. I look at things like that and I swear to God, I absolutely despair. These utter useful idiots jumping on something they don't understand. They are calling, by involving themselves with these marches, they're involving themselves in racism. Okay, now some people are going to try and put that sort of thing at me because I think Islam is evil and I don't want it in this country. They're going to call, now remember, well they're going to call me racist, yet these same fucking people are there on these marches singing, you know, from the river to the sea. Who's the fucking race? Sorry about the swearing, but sometimes I get over passionate about it, but who's the racists? I mean, I don't understand. I don't understand these people. Why are they getting involved? Now, of course, there is one thing I'd say. I don't like seeing anyone killed through war. I don't support Israel. I don't know anything about it. I don't know about Netanyahu and his regime, really. And I certainly don't support Hamas. And I don't support Palestine as an entity. I do support all the people that are suffering from this, unless they're nasty jihadi bastards. Okay? So Islamists, I'm sorry, but you know, we've been warned. We've been bloody well warned. And we've not taken heed. And I'm still going to be called a racist because I'm warning everyone now. Warning everyone to wake the fuck up. But anyway, so what are they actually in London now? What are they claiming after the first one? The first Saturday was they were celebrating the killing of people in Israel. Okay? Don't care what any of you say. That's exactly what they were doing. There's going to be people on here, you know, coming back and say, no, they weren't. They, you know, against the attacks and all that. Well, the attacks hadn't actually happened at that point, by the way, from Israel back into Gaza. Now, what they're claiming these marches are for is to call for a ceasefire. And the useful idiots think that's like the end of a war, ceasefire. It's going to stop people getting killed. Think about this for a minute. Who started this? I'm not talking about historically, but this latest round of things happened by a terrorist organisation called Hamas, attacking Israel, killing children, babies, taking people hostage. Remember, this is just how it started. This one started. And then, of course, Israel has to retaliate. It has to. It can't. We would if it's UK, wouldn't we? We'd have to retaliate, surely. Well, I'm not sure we would against that religion of peace now. I think they've got our soft underbelly, haven't they? They're stabbing us from underneath. So, yeah, we're rotten from within the UK as well. I'm going to get to that in a minute. But anyway, so they're calling for this ceasefire. Do you think, given Hamas's record, that they'll abide by that ceasefire? Come on, you useful idiots. Tell me what you think's going to happen. Of course they're not, are they? Hamas will regroup and then cause more atrocities, as they always have. So this ceasefire thing, I would love the war to end. I would love everyone to get on nicely. But that's not going to happen. Inherently, that can't happen. There's so many political undertones and religious undertones going on, and clashes, cultural clashes. They just will never happen. So, in my opinion, remember this is my opinion, this war can't end till Hamas have been absolutely annihilated, and probably Hezbollah too, and perhaps maybe even the Islamic State in Iran. Not the people of Iran. We must not equate governments to people. Okay? There'll be a lot of Palestinians out there who are harmless. They just want a peaceful life. But isn't it funny? Because I'm kind of trying to look at the way this has been documented and the way it's been reported by different news channels. BBC still refuses to say that Hamas are terrorists. They're a proscribed terrorist organisation, but BBC will say it's not, and they're saying, oh, it's for balance. You don't have balance with terrorists. It's absurd to even think like that. But isn't it funny? They can soon label someone like Tommy Robinson a far-right extremist, can't they? And yet all he's done is tell us what he believes that is coming from that religion of peace. And to be honest with you, we have to shut up for the sake of diversity, don't we, Naz Shah? So what he's been saying, he's been highlighting the rape gangs and all that sort of stuff. Yet you have these useful idiots again saying, oh, well, Catholics did it as well. It does my nutting. It really does. I think you absolute fucking fools. Whataboutery isn't never going to... What good is whataboutery? Well, I mean... As I say, I'm going to get back onto Tommy Robinson in a minute. I'm just going to put my glasses on because I just want to see... Because I don't normally script it. Well, I don't script anything. But I have had to write a few notes on this one. So we've gone against the protesters. We've talked about the protesters basically having a pop at the Jews and wanting them all dead. Not all of them. I'm saying the useful idiots are just going along with it because they don't really understand it anyway. They just say they want a day out, don't they? Protesting. The ceasefire, we've gone through that. Useful idiots. Queers for Palestine, we've gone through that. The hostage posters. This is again one of those things that I'm befuddled by, and you have to think it's coordinated, because what we've seen is the police. Well, first of all, we actually saw some Islamists taking down posters of missing children and ladies in London. Remember, we're talking London here. So ripping down all these posters and all that sort of stuff, and you think, well, that's just abhorrent. I mean, what fucking evil does that? Okay, and then we've had the police doing the same thing, but not just in London. In all the major cities, it seems, in the Western world, it's coordinated. So why is that? Why would it be coordinated? I'm asking for your opinion here. I'm not just spouting off. I would be interested to know what you think of all this. Do you think a ceasefire would work? Well, how would it work? Do you honestly think that Hamas wouldn't just regroup? I mean, so I'm just spouting off a bit, but it has massive ramifications for the UK. This has. Now, of course, what a lot of the people who are supporting the ceasefire and marching are also saying is that Israel and Netanyahu's lot are killing innocent people. Hamas use the civilian population as human shields. Come on, you can't not know that. So, as I say, I don't like all this, but you have to be as honest as you can about it. The Israelis did try and give people a path out, and there's reports of Hamas stopping the Palestinians getting out. Remember, I would guess that now the vast majority of Palestinians don't want Hamas, but they're shit scared. You don't understand. They can't speak out. So anyway, we've covered from the river to the sea, and and the other one, jihad. I've seen the footage in London of some of these people shouting for jihad, and the police have come out with the excuse they can't arrest them because jihad has several meanings. We all know what the meaning in this context is. Don't treat us like fucking idiots, okay? Don't treat us like fucking idiots. So there's that. The other one. This is perhaps part of the problem. When 9/11 happened, none of you had heard of Islamophobia, had you? Or very few, one or two may have. But that word came about after 9/11. Okay? And it's been used as a weapon ever since to keep people silent about Islam and about what people think of it. You can't criticise Islam. Well, why can you criticise Christians? Why can you criticise Hebrew? Why can Jews, Hindus, the whole lot? But you can't criticise Islam in this country. Islamophobia is a made-up word. The sooner we bloody well realise that, and the sooner people start saying what they actually think, without worrying what people are going to say to them on Facebook, without worrying about being cancelled, because they can't cancel everyone. They can't fucking cancel everyone. Start speaking up. I beg you all to start speaking up and stop worrying about calling things into question. We should be allowed to question everything. Absolutely everything. And we also, as a free country, we should be absolutely free to take the piss out of everything as well. Not with fear of having our fucking heads cut off. Okay? So I know that's a little bit extreme, but there you go. Right then. The praying. Again, I've seen a lot of this. You've seen it all. Them all down on their knees. Thousands of them by the looks of it, outside Whitehall, outside the Cenotaph over the last week or two, praying to Allah. And you see the useful idiots on Twitter and all that sort of stuff. Well, they're only praying. Everyone's allowed to pray. Really? Are you that stupid to not understand that that's just a show of force? I mean, this is what this is all about. It's a show of force. You need to start not watching the BBC. You need to start looking online. Look at someone like Matatusi. He's quite close to it. He escaped Iran as a kid, so he understands this a lot more than we do, and he's given a good balanced view. He's saying the same as me. No one here is supporting the Israeli government. I don't support any government anymore. I don't trust any fucking government. And I think they've made this problem even worse, especially out in the Western world, because we're too scared to talk about it. We're too scared to say, well, I'm not too scared to say it, fuck it, I'll say it. We have sleeper cells in the UK now. Look how many Islamists have come across on rubber dinghies. How many do you think there are? Look, when you're fleeing war, you take your family with you. You take your wife and your children with you. You're fleeing from war and persecution. If you're going to war, you leave them at home. So pray tell, where are all the women and children on those dinghies? You're not allowed to say that, remember, because we're far right. That's what we're going to be labelled. You're far right, and you're extremists, and you're horrible. Yeah, but I don't want to cut your head off, do I? The sooner you start to understand. Now, I'm not talking about Muslims per se, and Muslim isn't a race, by the way, just to reiterate that, and nor is Islam. It's not a race. Okay, it's a belief system, and the Islam, in my opinion, is completely incompatible with the UK, with Christianity and with our values. I'm not just saying that Britain should just be Christian. You should be free to preach to whatever imaginary thing you want. Okay, you can be an atheist, you can, whatever you want, but Once it becomes a cultural issue, which it is, multiculturalism hasn't worked in the UK. It just hasn't. People who think those says it has, they're lying. They're just lying. When people say, "Oh, think of all the lovely food we've had," are you kidding me? Food? Oh, they brought some lovely food with them. Fuck off. Jesus Christ. Right then, now we come to this coming weekend. I'm recording this the weekend before Remembrance Sunday, an Arms Day on the 11th, on the Saturday. And of course, what it's looking like, whether this is going to happen or not, I can't say. They're talking about more pro-Palestine marches and anti-Jew marches on Saturday and maybe Sunday. And we've heard the thing that there's veterans going to go down and protect the cenotaph and all this sort of stuff. Now, I wish none of this was happening. I wish the youth villages should just have a fucking day off. But they won't. I think there will be a big show of force. I know what they're trying to say is they're going to keep them away from the cenotaph and those proceedings down there. It's not good enough. It shouldn't be going on at all. Even though I do believe in free speech, I don't believe in hatred. And that's what these marches are. I don't care which way you try and paint it. Right, this is my opinion, remember. I don't care how you try and sugarcoat it. The core issue here is people celebrating the death of Jews. They want Israel gone, okay? And in the UK, they're showing their force. I can't believe what happened in Russia as well when they stormed the airport and were looking for Jews on planes. Apparently, there's 20 million Islamists or Muslims. It's hard to differentiate that, isn't it? It sounds like you're trying to sugarcoat everyone with the same brush, or tar everyone with the same brush. That's not what I'm trying to do, I promise you, it's not. There are good and bad people everywhere, right? No matter what culture they are, what religion they follow, or whatever. People, I've always said it, you've got cunts and you've got people who ain't cunts. And that's it, there's not that much in between anymore. So I have a horrible feeling that we're being teed up for a false flag, or we're going to allow something to happen on either the 11th or the 12th. Do you not find it? Now, this is me now maybe being a conspiracy theorist. I think the BBC et al. Want trouble to happen so they can blame it on the far right. Not anything to do with Islamists and people supporting a terrorist organisation. More like football hooligans and Tommy Robinson fans. And that type, far right. That's what I don't care what anyone calls me anymore. Call me far right, call me racist. It goes straight off over my fucking head now, because your labels are absolutely bullshit. Absolute bullshit. And you use them because you haven't got a conversation to have with me. You use them because you're not very intelligent. That's the truth of it. So, is it not a bit of a coincidence that suddenly Tommy Robinson and Katy Hopkins have been given their voices back on Twitter a week before Remembrance Sunday, and this passionate time for veterans and patriots? Just remember, I've said this, if on the 13th or whatever, on the evenings of the 11th, 12th or 13th, you start hearing far right extremists attack peaceful protests, just remember I said it, and let's see. I hope I'm absolutely wrong. I hope there's no trouble at all. I absolutely do. I wish there'd been I wish they weren't going to even march. In fact, I'll be honest, I wish anyone who supports Hezbollah or is an Islamist in any way that wants the persecution of non-Islamic people like us Christians or Catholics or anyone else, they want to see us persecuted, well, they've got no place in the UK. I want them to be fucking deported. I don't think that's unreasonable, because the issue we have now is a clash of cultures in the UK, and it has been for years. It's been boiling up for years. And this is where the bad bit of me... Is it the bad bit? No, it's not bad. I'm not wishing it, okay? So let's just make this clear. I'm not wishing this. But if something does go off over the coming weekend, It may just be the catalyst we need to wake everyone up. To wake everyone up. Or to at least allow us to have this conversation without this label of Islamophobia or bullshit, nonsense, Nazi, fascist, whatever Islamophobia you want us to. We need to have a serious conversation about this. Not from idiots like me on YouTube. I've got a tiny little audience. Makes no fucking difference. I come on here to try and make sense of it myself, and to hopefully the few people that do listen to it, maybe help them make some sense of it. And I'm interested in your opinion. I might be completely against what you think about this, but I would be honestly interested. Without you being fucking abusive, I'd be interested in your take on it. But I worry. I'll be honest with you. I don't think I've ever been this worried about the future of the UK as I have been over the last few days. I think there's a terrible undercurrent of racism, and it's not from us. It's not from us. You need to understand what Islamists want. Domination. They'll freely admit it. Then you have all these little organisations, don't you? Report Islamophobia and all this lot. How about we start reporting them, saying they want ill to happen to us? Oh, no, we're not allowed to do that. Oh no, we'll have to do a bit of whataboutery and say, oh well, Christians and Crusades and all that bollocks. Well, there you go. That's my take on it. Sorry it's gone on a bit long. I probably haven't covered everything as I would have wanted to, because I'm not really good at getting my point across on things like this. But I hope at least it's made a few of you think. You can either be seething at me, or you can be gently and politely nodding in agreement to certain things. But what do you think should happen? Where do you think we can go from here? If it goes off on Sunday, okay, where do we go from here? Because our police are not acting on these. It's not because they don't know what jihad means or because it means certain things. It's not. It's because they're fucking outnumbered. They're scared shitless. It's funny the difference in policing too, isn't it? Between what's going on at the moment and how they did with anti-lockdown marches, the pro-Brexit marches, Black Lives Matter. There's a two-tier policing system in the UK as well, and that's worrying. So what do you think about that? Do you understand that? Have you seen it? Have you witnessed it? Because I have. And I'm ashamed that our country's allowed it to come to this. I come from a policing background, believe it or not. My family, my father was an inspector in Bedfordshire Police. And he wouldn't be happy with any of this. He wasn't even happy with policing by camera. So yeah, and I bet you he'd be labelled as right-wing now too, wouldn't he? Yeah. So, I guess the only other thing I'd add is I think they should ban the marches on Sunday and Saturday. In fact, I think they should be stopped altogether now. Enough is enough. Even though I believe in free speech, this isn't free speech. It's hate marches. I agree with Suella Braverman. Okay, I do agree with her on this one. But we're hearing calls from people, well, not me, but quite a few people I'm seeing online, and when other people are discussing this matters, bring the army in, put the army on the street for the weekend. I'll tell you the real reason they won't do that, because they won't do that. I truly believe they won't. Even if there's a massive threat, I still don't think they will do that. Because if they do that, for one, it's optics. It doesn't look good, does it? Remembrance Sunday, where we have to have the army on the streets to protect our veterans from Islamists. Not a good look. But also, and perhaps more importantly, if they do put army on the streets, they would have to admit once and for all that this bullshit multiculturalism never ever worked, and it will never work until people want to integrate. Now, don't think I'm saying that everyone hasn't integrated. You know, don't go to these extremes. Don't make up things in your head. Of course, a lot of people have tried to fit in, but I come from Luton. Remember, I know exactly what Bury Park's like, and of course, I know people obviously also be in Birmingham. fan, or well, not Birmingham fan, I ain't a bloody Birmingham fan, Aston Villa fan, and obviously having lived in Birmingham too, and knowing the history up there, the cultural landscape has changed, and it's not good for the UK. I'm sorry, that's my opinion. I think it's been detrimental, and I think that Enoch Powell was right, and I also think that Tommy Robinson is right. My opinion of Tommy is he goes about things a bit gobby. He's not very measured in his approach, but he's very passionate about what he believes in, and I think he's got the biggest balls I've ever fucking witnessed. For him to come out and basically warn everyone of what's to come, and I think he's not far from being wrong. And for those that suddenly go, oh, he's a fucking racist, here's my challenge to you. Show me, and with a source, right, where he's ever been arrested for racism, where he's ever said anything online that's racist. There is one little thing which I'll get to in a minute. So apart from once he said about a packy taxi driver, he just said those words. It wasn't anything being derogative at all. He wasn't saying he's an Islamist or any shit like that. He just happened to be caught on film saying packy taxi driver. And have you never called it a packy shop? You're a fucking liar if you haven't. And it's just short for Pakistan, Pakistani. Like Brit is short for British, and Scot is short for Scottish, and Croat is short for Croatian, and Aussie is short for Australian. Funny how we can't say Paki. This is another one of those odd things, isn't it? Odd things indeed. Anyway, I think I'll leave it at that for now. Sorry I've gone on a bit. Let's hope that nothing happens this weekend, but if it does, let's also then hope that it's an awakening. Speak to you soon.